how are leaders doing today? They're facing a lot of chaos. How are they doing? And how do you think they should be leading in chaos? How are they leading in chaos today?
One of the things that I am seeing and the people that are really being successful in this environment and thriving in it is that they are showing up with extraordinary empathy. They are recognizing that the people that they are working with are dealing with all kinds of crazy situations, and they need to, even more than ever, really understand what is this environment and what can they do to support them. So that's the first thing I would say. The second is really showing up with clarity of direction. You know, we don't know, you may not have the whole plan. It could be that you're taking it day by day, but what are you doing with your team each day to be perfectly clear what are the most important things that people need to be working on? And we always say communicate 5 times, 5 different ways. That's even more important when people have so much distraction going on. And then finally is really showing up very curious, because we don't know how to nail this, right? The news is changing daily. We don't know what 3 months is going to look like. So it's how do you tap into your best ideas and thinking of your team? How do you talk to your customers about what really matters most to them and what they're dealing with? And showing up with this very curious mindset, not thinking you have all the answers. So yeah, empathy, clarity, and curiosity is what I would say.
I think, Karin, that's fabulous. And I think it fits in with your forthcoming book also, Courageous Cultures. Talk to us about 1 or 2 things from that book and how cultures can be courageous. I mean, you have to be courageous in these times, because if you're meek and you go in a corner with a blanket, which I often sometimes want to do, just say, stay in bed and be like, oh my God, it's so crazy. So how can cultures be courageous today?
Yeah, the irony of a courageous culture is that it takes less daily courage to show up, right? Because in a courageous culture, this is where you are deliberately saying, I am going to tap into the very best thinking of every employee. And so we're not even talking about, the Me Too movement and all that. If you've got any of that crap going on, you're not going to have a courageous culture where people are going to have the courage to stand up and speak the truth and challenge you. So first of all, assuming you've got rid of that, and then navigate your own narrative around courage and fear. One of the things that we do when we work with executive teams is we help them do a courage map where we think of times in their career where they showed up particularly courageous. And what was it about the situation? What was it about them that made them courageous? Because if you can tap in and say, oh, I have done that before, it's easier to do it again. And then we really teach very practical tools and techniques to not just say, hey, I have an open door, but to ask. Say, go out deliberately asking really courageous questions of your team, like, what's got to go? What do we need to stop doing now? Where are we missing the strategic opportunities? And then really listen to those and respond. We call it respond with regard, because if people give you your ideas and you don't do anything with them, then you might as well have not asked, as you've actually made the situation worse.
Karin, tell me about, so courageous is a very important word. So tell me, but it can be mixed up with arrogance, right?
Yes.
I'm going to bulldoze my people at the meeting that's coming up. Or it can be mixed with confidence, right? So explain to me the difference, if you will, of how someone can be courageous but not be arrogant.
Yeah. So the subtitle of the book will help answer that, which is how to build teams of micro innovators, problem solvers, and customer advocates. So we are talking about building a whole culture here, not just individual courage. And so we really talk about this elegant dance. And we did a lot of research with the University of North Colorado about why people don't speak up. And 67% of the people in the research said, well, that's because leadership doesn't want my ideas. They operate around this notion of that's the way we've always done it. 40% said, I'm not confident to speak up because the last time I did, I got in trouble or nobody listened. And then half of the respondents said, actually, nothing will ever change, so why bother? So that's the undercurrent we're trying to, fight against here when we talk about building a courageous culture. And then it comes in, and this is where the clarity and curiosity dance comes in. So the courage comes in being really clear and offering hope. Have an audacious vision. Yes, we can do this. You know, we even in this environment, I was just talking to a vice president at a pharmaceutical company, and she was saying, yeah, you know what? I think we can still thrive in this right now. Even though it's crazy, I think we can thrive. So that's courage. That's creating clarity, because she is now telling her team, yes, we can. But then it's the curiosity part, which is the humble part, which says, so how do you think we can do it? What are your best ideas? And we found in our research that it was the companies that could have the clarity coupled with the curiosity. Those were the ones that were really tapping into the thinking of all employees.
That's wonderful. Karin, thank you. This is fantastic. Leave us with one tip, Karin, that you would suggest that leaders focus on today to lead in chaos. One tip.
Ask your employees, ask your customers, make sure you're not just waiting for people to come to you, but be very deliberate in asking and responding for what they need.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Karin. Karin's new book coming out in July is called Courageous Cultures. And you can find her on Karin Hurt on LinkedIn and letsgrowleaders.com. Is that right?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.